What is going on, Sports Minds? It's your boy MJ coming at you with another episode of the Fantasy Fumble. I hope you're all doing well because it's that time of the year. It's playoff time, baby. Joe, how the hell you doing today, brother?
Manny, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we are playing each other round one in the Contenders League.
Very
And
aware.
I mean, you can't give too much to projections, but the game is projected to be very close.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely, man.
we'll
It's
see.
it's 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 a tough first matchup, you know. Luckily my guys started firing in all cylinders, most of
I
them
know.
anyways. Puka. Obviously I have Josh Jacobs. He's gonna be RB1 for the next few weeks.
Dude, I was looking at Jacob specifically, just like the last 4 weeks. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's been going off,
Yeah,
bro. 3 touchdown games in the last 4 weeks. He's a
man.
he's a monster. But I mean, the rest of the team has to step up. Luckily, I got some strong quarterback, play to Patrick Mahomes finally picked his dead weight up. So, that should be helpful. But overall, man, I'm very excited. I'm in playoffs 2 out of 5 leagues. I got eliminated in 3.
Mm.
Obviously, we'll go over some of the details for that a little bit later. I have a little bit of something planned on, but later for that. But in the meantime, let's definitely get into that news and notes.
But first, a word from our sponsor.
Hey there, my name is Manny James Gonzalez with PRB, and I'm a real estate agent here in Central Florida. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, military relocation pro, and big supporter of 2A and veterans' rights. My specialty is VA transactions. I'm also experienced in all parts of real estate.
I've been living in Florida for over 20 years, and I can tell you we still believe in freedom down here. One of the greatest job markets, excellent economy, and no state income tax. When it comes to an agent, you want one that's going to be honest, not afraid of a fight, and most importantly, willing to do the things that some agents aren't willing to do.
And what's that, Manny?
Shoot straight, Dan. If you're ever considering buying in Central Florida, you need somebody you can trust, and I got your 6. I'm Manny James Gonzalez. Find land for the free and home for the brave.
Welcome back, ballers. Now let's get into some news and notes. There's really not too much going on, but one thing I do want to mention is that Las Vegas Raiders running back Sincere McCormick has earned the team's starting running back role moving forward. If you picked him up off waivers, he might be a good flex play. He got 15 carries last week, and that's who they're going to give the rock to. So look to him as a possible flex play. And one more notable thing, because this is 2 weeks in a row that Josh Allen has made history, NFL history. He became the first NFL player with 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in a regular season game. And Manny, I know that you're happy about having Josh Jacobs, but I've got Josh Allen. So we're going to see how that works out. They might even each other out.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. But either way, it's going to be a slugfest to the end, 4th and 5th seed going at it. So, who knows what's going to happen then.
And there are many notable injuries that you got to keep your eye on. Just running through real quickly the people that did not practice. At running back, you got Kenneth Walker, Bucky Irving, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, and Breece Hall. Keep an eye on all those guys because they are clearly your starters. At wide receiver, you've got Mike Evans and from the same team, Sterling Shepard, and also George Pickens, who missed last week. Keep an eye on him. At tight end, I have all 3 of these guys. Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram, and David Njoku did not practice today. And then at quarterback, you got a handful. Most of them are irrelevant, but Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Drew Lock, and Aiden O'Connell. So make adjustments if you have any of those guys. Again, the only one you probably do have is Justin Herbert, but keep an eye out. And waiver wires bone dry. So this is playoffs time. You should have some depth. You can make some adjustments.
Yeah, and my note about waiver wires are right now is the time where you start playing like your specific matchups that you probably, for example, defenses. It's a good time to start playing, swapping around defenses because some of the top rated defenses like Detroit, Seattle, and some of the other guys in the last few weeks actually have some tough matchups this week.
So don't be afraid to, flex them out, pick up someone else, because who knows, maybe that defense could give you an extra 5 or 10 points, in
Great
certain
call.
leagues.
And if you've got someone on your team that you're not going to play, stash a defense. Look ahead a week or two. Now let's get into our hot matchups.
All right. You want me to lead?
Yeah.
Okay. It's hot. Hot. It's time for that hot matchup of the week. Now, for my hot matchup,
Your hat matchup.
my hat matchup. For my hot matchup, I went with the no-brainer. Bills versus the Detroit Lions. It's going to be in Detroit, and it's going to be a really good game. Definitely going to be two juggernauts going at it, two potential Super Bowl teams. This is what America apparently wants as a Super Bowl, right? The two teams that have never won it before, because one will be victorious. But either way, it's going to be some fireworks. We saw the Bills get beat last week, and they, and the crazy thing is they scored so much, right?
Oh
You were
my
talking
goodness.
about Josh Allen. So I don't expect it to be. I expect it to be much like last week, right? Everyone's going to start clicking on all cylinders. It's going to be firing away. And, at the end of the day, the best team's going to come out on top. And that's typically going to be the healthiest team. So let's see if anybody stays healthy or gets injured tomorrow on the game.
Yeah, I personally think that could be the best game of the year. As you mentioned, last week was crazy fireworks. That was one of the hot matchups we discussed. 86 total points. Can't expect that again, but my goodness. It's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. I'm seriously looking forward to that. Both sides of the field, chock full of talent. Now, for my hot matchup, I went with the Rams and the 49ers. As we just mentioned, the Rams last week against the Bills scored 44 points and won. And I know I'm a broken record, but the Rams offense has been so fun to watch with Puka and Cooper back on the field. Kyron had a few down weeks when they came back, but the last 2 weeks he was back to peak form. So, Stafford, he's a spot start if you need him, but this is the playoffs, so you probably have better options. And the 49ers defense looked great last week, but has not been performing at the level we expected for most of the season, and I don't think they'll be able to contain the Rams. And the 49ers have had a very unfortunate year with injuries, both on offense and defense. But the team has done pretty well picking up the pieces aside from the game against Buffalo. And Purdy, he's been great. Kittle's a machine. Juwan Jennings has been a surprising and fantastic wide receiver to fill in for the injured Ayuk and perpetually disappointing Deebo Samuel. Obviously, there are some concerns at running back. And although third-string running back Isaac Orendo was great last week, he may not play tomorrow. So that would be Patrick Taylor, right?
Mm-hmm, Patrick Taylor.
Might be another flex play that, the chances are someone picked him up off waivers. But, aside from the running backs, that situation is very hard to navigate going into tomorrow night's game. Or I'm sorry, it's Thursday you're watching this, tonight's game. But I think all around, there will be enough offense to make that a high-scoring game. So if you've got any of those guys I mentioned, I would put them in my starting lineup without hesitation.
Oh, yeah. Definitely going to be a fun game to watch. I got Puka on one team, so looking forward to another 150-yard day. So let's see how that goes. Now, for my honorable mention, of course, we have to have another game that we want to look at. I actually really like the Bears versus Vikings matchup. I know it's a divisional game, but in the NFC North, they're not really known for their defense, right? Like against each other, they're known for chess, right? They're going to come at each other swinging, big home runs. We saw the Vikings last week. Sam Darnold threw for 5 touchdowns, 3 to Jordan Addison, which you left on the bench. You still squashed me for the other league, for the Champions League. And then, of course, Justin Jefferson finally got past that touchdown drought and ended up getting 2 touchdowns. So I expect them to be lighting it up on that side. And then the Bears obviously had a down week. So, they typically don't stay too consistent with the down weeks. So I expect them to bring it up and step up to the level of competition. So that should actually be a pretty good game.
Yeah, that first half was brutal for the Bears last week. And I think they do have a bounce back. And like you said, with these divisional matchups, sometimes, it depends on the division. Sometimes they can just be a defensive battle, and other times they can light up the offense. And while those teams have been good on defense all year, I expect this to be a bounce back week for both and a lot of points on the scoreboard. Now, for my honorable mention, I have the Dolphins versus the Texans. Although it's probably too late this season, the Dolphins seem to have found their stride over the last few weeks. Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, Jonnu Smith, and Devon Achane have been pretty consistent. And even though the Texans' defense has been solid, I feel like with all those guys finally in sync with each other and that offense starting to flow, that it's just going to be lights out. And Tyreek and Waddle are questionable, so keep an eye on them. But if everyone's healthy, that's going to be a high-scoring game. And aside from Mixon, the Texans' offense has been up and down all season, but they are rested after the bye week, and they had an extra week to get right for this matchup. Miami has a good defense, but they're also inconsistent, and I think Mixon will run all over them. Nico Collins has been great the last couple weeks and should have a big game too. We all expected Tank Dell to put up big numbers after Diggs went to IR, but he's only averaging about 10 points. But keep in mind, he was basically the only wide receiver that needed to be covered when Diggs and Nico were out. Nico's back to full health for a couple weeks now, and that should leave more opportunities open for Tank Dell. And CJ Stroud, we all know he's been disappointing too. I understand. But he didn't have his top 2 wide receivers for 6 weeks. He's only projected for 16 points this week, but he could easily put up 20 or more. They're 8-5 and can secure a playoff spot with another win. So I expect them to come out playing hard, chucking the ball, and of course, keeping Mixon very, very busy.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely went over every detail. So
yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. Those teams are just looking real good lately.
Yeah, definitely going to be a good game. But hopefully Tua stays healthy. Obviously injuries aside, it's going to be a good game. And I like Texas to win that one overall. So definitely should be some fireworks there.
Now let's get into our cold calls. Now for my cold call, I'm starting with the Chiefs versus the Browns. You never really know what to expect with the Browns. Sometimes Jameis Winston will come out slinging and put up 40 points. And other times they struggle the entire game to put up a decent drive. And it's usually the latter. Like, come on, let's get serious. The Chiefs have a good defense too. But we kind of do know what to expect with the Chiefs at this point, which is a boring, low-scoring game. The Chiefs' D has looked great, but their offense is just boring. And I see this being a low-scoring defensive battle, even with the teams this lopsided. I know that Chiefs are 12-1 and the Browns are 3-10, but this is just a recipe for, I'm gonna guess something like 20-17, or maybe even like 20-3. It's just gonna be. I mean, if you look back through the entire year, a lot of these games with the Chiefs have been very close. So they're low scoring, they're close. Even though they are playing the Cleveland Browns, I expect this to be a little bit closer and also expect it to be low scoring. And the Chiefs D has been great all season. So I expect them to step up to the plate and play. Like we said, sometimes you see offense, sometimes you see defense. I'm expecting this to be a game that's dictated by the Chiefs and basically just grinding them into the dirt.
Yeah. I definitely think the Chiefs are going to score all the points in this one. Hopefully they're through the air because obviously I'm starting Mahomes against you. And I know you want to put some bad juju in the air, so I'm going to go ahead and say that the Chiefs are going to be doing all the scoring there, and Mahomes is going to throw for 4 touchdowns. So let's get it.
And that wouldn't surprise me either, but it could all happen in the first half, and then the second half there's like three or four field goals, you know?
Yeah, I don't think the Browns defense is good enough to stop anybody, so they haven't been all year. So I could see that definitely being a Chiefs game, but will it be entertaining? Probably not. Now for my cold matchup, I went with the Jets versus Jags. Both two teams that are struggling. Jets may or may not be without Brees Hall, which hurts me because I have him in all my leagues. Um, Obviously, they're going to be passing the ball. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, they both had a good week last week, and the Jags are definitely, not known for their defense, but also not known for their offense either. So, I expect the Jets to spur, and struggle because that's just the New York Jets. And the Jags on the other side, they don't even have their starting Mac Jones as quarterback. They just look horrible. Travis Etienne is down, I guess, too. And, Tank Bisbee actually has looked better all year, but it's just not a game I want anybody in. It's going to be slow, probably a lot of field goals. And, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to tune into a different game, probably watch some golf or something instead. But definitely not going to be entertained by that game at all.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you on all that. Now let's get into our shit calls of the week.
Oh, it smells like shit. I guess it's time for that shit call of the week here. Now, for my shit call, I'm going ahead and saying, going back to draft strategy here. So my shit call, going into the playoffs now, I get to really see my results almost into fruition. And at the end of the day, I just don't. Any team that I didn't really draft my normal way, I did a contrarian draft. I end up doing bad in. I know you were saying that you're the opposite. You did good in all your contrarian leagues and stuff like that. For me, man, I just completely dumpster fire, man. Like between 2 to 4 wins, and I'm not afraid to admit that on the air, guys. I'm an honest dude, and I know my football, but unfortunately, sometimes when it comes to draft strategy, you might reach or you might, pull somebody thinking he's going to be good, and then at the end of the day, he's not, or he gets injured. So, I would say that's my shit call. Hindsight 2020. I know what I'm studying. I spend hours doing it. So going into next year, of course, make sure I don't second guess myself.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Stick to your guns. And the only thing I did and it's in the Contenders League, I just, went against the grain and drafted a quarterback early. That's why I got Josh Allen. I don't normally do that. I usually wait until much, much later to draft a quarterback. And obviously that's working out pretty well for me. But again, you can't predict injuries. And, in James's league, my first 2 picks were McCaffrey and Pacheco. So that really hurt me all year, and I didn't make the playoffs in that league. So you win some, you lose some. Even when you do stick to your strategy, it doesn't always work out. That's why I do like to do at least one league where I kind of go against the grain, and rather than going running back heavy, I'll pick some stud wide receivers and a stud quarterback and just roll the dice. This year it worked out. Usually it does not. So I feel you on that. Now for my shit call, I'm just going back to last week. I thought Kamani Vidal was going to have a lot more action, but the fact of the matter is the Chargers' run game is trash without J.K. Dobbins. And that's probably not going to change this year, regardless of the matchup. Both running backs, Gus and Kamani Vidal, had more touches, and they didn't do anything. Gus, if you did start Gus, he may have bailed you out with a touchdown, but he only had 36 yards, and Vidal only had 34. So these guys, they did get a little uptick in touches, and they didn't do anything with them. So my shit call was, telling you to pick up Kamani and put him on your bench, see what happens. If you did, you saw that nothing happened. Drop him, move on.
All right, ballers. It's that time of the day. I know it's been a short episode, so we apologize for it. It's been obviously, a lot going on here. We do appreciate your support. We appreciate everything you guys have, tune into every week, and give us your feedback. And we definitely appreciate all the support you folks have given us so far. Joe, do you have anything for these guys?
No, absolutely. Appreciate all the support. Every subscriber helps. And, when you get towards the end of the season, you really don't have as many player profiles to do. So I've just been trying to put together, some cool clips from time to time. I did one on Josh Allen last week. maybe I'll do another one on Josh Allen this week with that 6 touchdown game he had. But either way, we appreciate all the support. Tune in, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys. Same time, same place next week. Bring your mamas. See you guys next time. All right. Thank you very much.